My beloved child, before you learn how to come near to others, let your heart return to me. For every true bond begins at the inexhaustible source of love. You may try to mend what has been fractured with skillful words, with effort, with smiles that hide your weariness. But if your soul has not been anchored in me, those connections can easily become fragile before the winds of life. I do not call you to enter love from a place of lack, but from a place of fullness. As my only son declared, I am the vine. You are the branches, the one who remains in me, and I in him bears much fruit. As in John 15:5, you can only give life when you yourself are receiving life from me. Therefore, draw near to me first, not as one who must present himself as perfect, but as a child returning in truth. When you dwell in my presence, your heart will cease seeking validation in places that are not strong enough to hold you, and you will learn to love, not in order to be filled, but because you have already been filled by me. Then, from that hidden place, I will teach you to understand that connection is not the noise of a crowd, nor is it the number of people standing around you. There are people who may be very near, yet their souls remain distant, and there are others who speak only a few words, yet bring comfort like water in the wilderness. What makes a bond holy is not that it never contains misunderstanding, but that within it there is sincerity, humility, and the desire to preserve what is good. Above all these things, put on love, which is the bond of perfection. As in Colossians 3:14, write this upon your heart. Love is not an outward decoration upon your life, but the garment I place upon your soul so that you may walk through the world without becoming cold. When you look at others with eyes that have been healed by me, you will not see only their faults, but also the wounds that have not yet been named, the fears that have not yet been comforted, and the longings they have not dared to reveal. There is a story I want you to remember. Onesimus was once a runaway, carrying within him a past that made it easy for others to look at him with condemnation. But in my providence, he encountered Paul, and what seemed broken became a doorway for grace. Paul wrote to Philemon, asking him to receive Onesimus no longer as a slave, but more than a slave, as a beloved brother. As in Philemon 1:16, do you see? My grace does not only save a soul from sin, it also recreates the way human beings see one another. I do not only call you to be forgiven, I call you to become someone who knows how to make room for reconciliation. There are people in your life who need to be seen again in a new light, not because everything they did was right, but because I can write a new chapter upon the very place where a crack once appeared. And there are also times when you yourself are Onesimus, needing to be led back, not by shame, but by mercy. Do not fear the distances that once wounded you, for I have the power to turn distance into a place of growth. Sometimes I do not restore every relationship in the way you desire, but I always heal the part within you that was wounded by separation. There are doors that must close so that you no longer live in dependency. There are doors that must open so that you may learn to step into a healthier love, and there are bonds I preserve, not because they are easy, but because through them you learn patience, forgiveness, and the gentleness of the kingdom of heaven. Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor, for if one falls, the other will lift up his companion. As in Ecclesiastes 4, know thou, I did not create you to be alone inside a shell of self-protection. I know you have been afraid to open your heart because you feared being hurt again. But my beloved child, a heart protected by me does not need to turn into stone in order to be safe. When you begin to live as a bridge, the light within you will not need to show itself off. Yet it will still be able to touch others. A word spoken at the right time, a willingness to listen, without rushing to judge. A hand extended when someone thought they had been forgotten. These small things can become quiet miracles. You do not need to save the whole world by your own strength. You only need to be faithful with the portion of light I have entrusted to you today. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. As in Matthew 5:9. This is not only for those who stand between great conflicts, but also for you, when you choose not to sow more bitterness, when you refuse to answer hurt with hurt, when you allow your words to become fragrant oil instead of a blade. I am placing within you a presence that can calm a room, lift up the faint-hearted, and remind weary souls that they are still loved. So, walk slowly but firmly in the bond of my everlasting love. Pray before you speak. Listen before you conclude. And love with wisdom, not with blindness. I am not telling you to open your heart to everything that harms you, but I am teaching you not to let old pain govern the way you receive what is new. Keep your heart soft in my hands, for we love because he first loved us. As in 1 John 4:19, from that love, you will know when to draw near, when to wait, when to forgive, and when to entrust someone to me. Every lasting connection must breathe with the breath of grace. And when you allow me to become the center, your life will no longer be scattered, fragments trying to touch one another, but will become one seamless song, where every relationship is purified, every wound is brought into the light, and every step you take becomes a testimony that my love is still restoring what seemed to have been lost. My beloved child, before you look for a hand to hold, a home to belong to, or a voice to soothe the empty places within your heart, return to me first, for no bond on earth can truly endure if your soul is not bound tightly to the source of everlasting love. I do not want you to step into life with a heart so hungry that it must cling to people in order to survive. I want you to walk as one who has been filled, so that when you love, you do not love from the fear of being abandoned, but from the abundance of grace. There are times when you stand in the middle of a crowd and still feel lost, hear much laughter and yet remain empty inside, receive many words of concern and yet your soul is still untouched. But my child, that loneliness is not proof that you have been forgotten. Sometimes it is a gentle bell calling you back to the deepest place, where I am still waiting for you in silence. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. As in James 4:8, that word is not a cold commandment, but an invitation of love. As long as you turn your face toward me, even with a weak breath, even with a prayer that cannot form a complete sentence, I still recognize your voice. There are storms that do not come to destroy you, but to show you where your true refuge is. When everything outside changes, when you are no longer sure who understands you, who will stay, who is sincere, I want you to remember that I am not a temporary support who appears only when you are exhausted. I am the rock beneath your feet, the shade along your path, the one who keeps your soul from breaking in seasons of strong winds. The Lord is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. As in Psalm 46:1, therefore, do not think that running back to me is a sign of weakness. It is the wisdom of one who knows they were not created to carry everything alone. When you place your heart in me, you will no longer be swept away by every word of praise or criticism, by every nearness or distance from others, by every shift in circumstance. I will form within you a tender steadfastness, not so hardened that you lose compassion, but not so fragile that a small wind can make you collapse. Remember Hagar in the wilderness. My beloved child, she was once driven into a lonely place, carrying the pain of someone who felt as though no one saw her. In the desert, when the water had run out and hope had nearly gone out, I did not leave her alone in her weeping. I opened her eyes to see the well of water that had already been prepared, and she called me the God who sees me. As in Genesis 16:13. Do you see? Many times, what you need is not a louder path, but eyes open to recognize that I am still present, even in the place where you thought you had been forgotten. Hagar did not meet me in a palace, not among the sound of praise, but in the dry place of her life. And it was there that she knew she was seen. In the same way, in the moments when you sit alone, when you do not know whom to speak to, when your heart is tired from having to be strong for too long, I still call your name with a tenderness the world cannot imitate. From that encounter, I will teach you how to connect with others through a heart that has been healed. You will no longer seek in other people what only I can fully give. You will know how to love without losing yourself, to give without being drained, to forgive without handing yourself back over to repeated wounds. When my love flows through you, it will cleanse the way you see life. You will recognize that behind a harsh word there may be a soul that is afraid. Behind silence there may be a wound that has not yet learned its name. Behind someone difficult to approach, there may be a child who also longs to be received. Above all things, have fervent love for one another, for love covers a multitude of sins. As in 1 Peter 4:8, that word does not tell you to close your eyes to what is wrong, but teaches you to look at people through the light of mercy. When you abide in me, your presence will become warmer, your words will become less sharp, and your listening will have the power to lift weary souls. Therefore, do not be quick to measure the value of your life by the things you build before the eyes of people. I do not ask how many people know your name, how many accomplishments have been recognized, or how many doors have opened. I ask whether you still walk with me in ordinary days, whether you still seek me when no one sees, whether you still keep your heart tender when life does not unfold as you desired. The one who is truly connected to me will carry a different atmosphere. Peace amid chaos, hope amid disappointment, light in dark places. He shall be like a tree planted by streams of water, bringing forth its fruit in its season, whose leaf also shall not wither. As in Psalm 6:kolme. You do not need to force yourself to bloom in every season, but you need to remain near the stream of living water. At the right time, the fruit will come. In the right season, what I have sown within you will appear, and those who come near you will sense not your perfection, but my life quietly flowing through you. Now, let your heart grow still in my hands. Do not be afraid to begin with small things. 1 minute of sincere prayer, 1 moment of silence to listen to me, 1 decision not to answer with bitterness, 1 step towards someone who needs comfort. Each small thing is a thread I use to weave a life full of meaning. When you reconnect with me, you will learn how to reconnect with yourself. When you are loved by me, you will stop despising the parts of you that were once wounded. When you are seen by me, you will be able to see others with clearer eyes. And then, you will become a quiet bridge between scattered souls. A small but steadfast lamp in the long night. A living witness that my love still has the power to make all things new. Keep walking, my beloved child, not with the haste of one trying to prove something, but with the peace of one who knows they are being led. I am with you. I keep you, and in me, every true connection will find a source of life that never runs dry. My beloved child, after your heart has been set at rest in me, I want you to understand that closeness with me is not born from pressure, nor does it grow through cold outward forms. I do not call you before me as a trembling servant who must recite every word correctly, present every sentence fully, and hide the weak places within. I call you as a child, returning to the Father, where there is no need to perform, no need to decorate yourself, no need to use beautiful words in order to be loved. When you are joyful, tell me of that joy like a little child running to show something precious. When you are sorrowful, let your tears fall in my presence. For the Lord is near to those who have a broken heart. As in Psalm 34:8, and I do not despise a trembling heart, even when you have no words left to say. Your sincere silence still has a voice before me. There are prayers that do not come forth from the lips, but rise from the breath, from the heartbeat, from tired eyes that are still seeking me, and I hear them all. Because I do not only hear your words, I hear your soul. Do not think that I meet you only in solemn moments or in places people consider holy. I meet you in the small room after the door has been closed. In the morning when you do not yet have the strength to smile. In the long night when your heart wonders whether you have been forgotten. My only son taught, when you pray, go into your room, close the door and pray to your Father, who is in secret. As in Matthew 6:6. This was not meant to separate you from the world, but to remind you that the deepest place within your heart can also become a sanctuary if you invite me in. I do not need you to speak beautifully. I desire you to be real. One simple cry of Father, I need you can be more precious than thousands of words spoken while the heart still remains far away. When you sit before me in sincerity, every layer you use to protect yourself will slowly begin to fall away, and you will discover that you no longer need to hide. In my light, you are not exposed for shame, but illuminated for healing. There is a story you should keep within your heart. The boy, Samuel, lay in the temple while everything was still, and in the night, I called his name. At first, he did not understand where the voice was coming from. But when he was guided, he answered, Speak, for your servant is listening. As in it, Samuel tree, Tia. Do you see? Samuel did not begin with great understanding, nor did he enter his calling through thunder from heaven. He began with a heart willing to listen. Many times, you are the same. You hear a gentle stirring within, a verse of scripture that keeps returning to your mind, a quiet peace leading you away from what is not good. Yet you doubt it because it is too gentle. I want you to learn to recognize my voice, not through haste, but through intimacy. My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me. As in John 7:27, the closer you remain to me, the more you will recognize the tone of my love, not chaotic, not cruelly condemning, not pushing you into fear, but leading you into truth, peace, and repentance filled with hope. Therefore, when you open my word, do not come as one merely searching for information, but as one placing their ear against the heart of their Father. Scripture is not an old memory covered in the dust of time. It is a living breath that can touch the exact place where you are weary. At times, one word from me will lift you from the depths of self-condemnation. At other times, another word will gently stop you before a path that seems easy, but would lead you away from me. There may be moments when you read again and again without fully understanding, yet the seed has already been planted, and in the right season, it will break open within your heart. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. As in Psalm 119, that lamp does not always illuminate the entire distant journey, but it gives enough light for the next step. Do not despise the moments when you read only a short passage, pray only a few minutes, or sit quietly for only a brief moment. In my kingdom, something small, placed in faithfulness, can become a stream that nourishes an entire season of drought. Then, from that intimacy, you will begin to look at yourself through different eyes. The world has handed you many distorted mirrors: the mirror of comparison, the mirror of achievement, the mirror of outward appearance, the mirror of old mistakes. At times, you look at yourself and see only what is lacking, the wounds that have not fully closed, the failures whose echoes still remain. But I do not call you by the name of your mistakes. I do not define you by the seasons when you were weak. Before you ever learned how to judge yourself, I already knew you. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. As in Jeremiah 1 line, I see the parts you are hiding, the potential you have not yet dared to believe, the sacred beauty being refined beneath the dust of life. When I look at you, I do not look as one searching for flaws to reject, but as a father who sees a jewel still hidden within rough stone and knows exactly what light is concealed inside. It is when you learn to receive yourself from my hands that you can truly love others without losing who you are. If you do not know that you are loved, you will easily beg for love from others through fear. If you do not know your worth, you will allow the judgments of people to determine whether you rise or collapse. But when you hear me call, do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. As in Isaiah 43:1, your heart will slowly be freed from the chains of constant striving to prove yourself. You do not need to become like anyone else in order to be accepted by me. You do not need to hide your scars as though they diminish your value. In my hands, even cracks can become places where light passes through. I will teach you to embrace yourself with humility, not pride, not self-exaltation, but with the peace of one who knows they are the workmanship of grace. And when your heart is filled from that source, love will no longer feel like something you must struggle to perform correctly. It will become the natural flow of a life that has been touched by me. We love because he first loved us. As in 1 John 4:19, you can only give what you have deeply received. From your connection with me, you will become gentler with yourself, and then gentler with others. You will learn to forgive without enabling destruction, to listen without losing truth, to remain beside those who are hurting without believing you must save them by your own strength. There are people I will bring near to you, not so that you may fix them yourself, but so that through your peaceful presence, they may sense that I am still near. A word of comfort spoken at the right time, a gaze free from condemnation, a patience that does not seek attention. Such things can open doors that many great sermons never could. Keep walking, my beloved child, but do not walk with the hurried spirit of someone trying to prove they have matured. Walk with the deep stillness of one who is being led from within by me. Each day, return to me through sincere prayer, through the living word, through silence that knows how to listen. From there, you will rediscover yourself in my light, and then carry that light into the relationships around you. Distances will no longer drive you to despair as they once did, because you will know that I can restore what needs restoring, open what needs opening, and teach you to release what no longer belongs to life. I am doing a holy work within you, reconnecting you to me, healing the way you see yourself, and turning your life into a bridge of love, forgiveness, and hope. You are not alone on this journey. I am nearer than your breath, more faithful than every promise of man, and gentler than anything you have ever expected. My beloved child, I do not want you to live as one constantly rushing after the noise outside, while forgetting the quiet calling deep within. There are things I do not speak in the midst of chaos, not because I am distant, but because your heart must become still enough to recognize the gentle tone of my voice. When you sit quietly, when you stop trying to prove yourself, stop trying to explain yourself, Stop trying to fill every empty space with sound and activity. That is when your soul begins to hear what I have long been planting within you. Silence before me is not a barren land, but a hidden garden where I quietly place seeds of calling, wisdom, and direction. Be still and know that I am God. As in Psalm 46, 10 is not a command for you to remain frozen in fear, but an invitation to stop fighting in your own strength and recognize that my hand is still guiding you. Do not fear the moments when no one sees you, for many of the greatest things in your life are formed in secret before they are revealed before the world. From that deep quietness, I will remind you that true dreams do not always arrive like the sound of thunder, but often like a small light that continues to burn steadily within. Perhaps you have buried them beneath many layers of fear, beneath the judgments of others, beneath failures that made you afraid to believe again. But I have not forgotten what I placed inside you. I know what you were created for. I know the seasons you must walk through, and I know the fires through which you must be refined in order to become stronger. Therefore, when I draw you out of what is familiar, do not think I am leading you into danger without protection. I go before you like the pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night. I do not call you onto a path and then leave you to search for the way alone in darkness. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. As in Psalm 46, 10. You do not need to see the entire map in order to keep moving forward. You only need to recognize that the one holding your hand is faithful. Remember Gideon, my beloved child. When my angel came to him, he was not standing on a battlefield like a glorious hero, but hiding while threshing wheat in a winepress because he feared the enemy. In his own eyes, he was small, weak, from an ordinary family, with none of the appearance of someone who would deliver his people. Yet I called him mighty warrior, as in Judges 6:12, not because he had already proven his strength, but because I could see what I would accomplish through him. Do you see? I do not wait for you to feel completely ready before I call you. I call you so that along the journey, you may discover that true strength is not born from never trembling with fear, but from knowing how to return and lean on me when your heart trembles. Gideon had to learn that victory did not rest in numbers, nor in outward confidence, but in obedience to my voice. In the same way, in the places where you think you are weakest, I may place the beginning of a calling far greater than you imagine. Therefore, do not take your past failures as the name of your life. I do not look at you as a verdict, nor do I remember you only by the seasons when you lost your way. When you fall, I do not stand far away condemning you. I bend down to lift you up, wipe the dust from your soul, and teach you to walk more wisely. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. As in 2 Corinthians 12:9, let those words sink into the places you once felt ashamed of. Weakness does not disqualify you from my love. On the contrary, when you stop pretending to be strong, I have room to reveal my healing power. Just as a potter does not throw away the clay simply because it has not yet taken shape, I patiently mold you again with mercy. At times, my hands reshaping you may hurt because you must release what is old. But this is not destruction, it is restoration. I am making my image more visible within you, little by little, through tears, lessons, repentance, and hope. When you begin to see yourself in my light, the voices of the world will no longer be able to shake your soul so easily. People may praise you today and forget you tomorrow. They may compare you, measure you, label you, and walk away without understanding the story I am writing within you. But your value does not rest in the changing opinions of human beings. I have called you by name, you are mine. As in Isaiah 43:1, that word is the rock beneath your feet. You do not need to exhaust yourself trying to earn recognition. You do not need to turn yourself into a copy of someone else in order to be loved. When you know that I chose you, not because you are perfect, but because my love was set upon you beforehand, you will walk with a deep peace. That peace is not loud, nor proud, but steady, like roots drawing from hidden waters. It enables you to work without becoming enslaved to achievement, to love without losing your dignity, to correct yourself without despising yourself, and to grow without hating the former version of who you were. Then you will realize that my love was never given to you merely to be hidden within your heart. When a vessel is filled, it overflows. When a lamp is lit, it shines around itself. From the healing within you, I will lead you towards souls who are also thirsty for a gentle word, a gaze without condemnation, a presence willing to remain. You are the light of the world, as in Matthew 5:14. But that light does not always need to appear as something great before crowds. It may be a timely message asking how someone is doing, a meal shared with another, a word of encouragement given to someone doubting themselves, a quiet moment you offer simply to listen without rushing to fix them. Do not despise small acts done with pure love, for in my hands, a tiny seed can become a tree under whose shadow many find rest. Love does not need display in order to carry power. It only needs a heart willing to be present. Therefore, let each day of your life become soil where I may plant what is good. Look at others through the same eyes with which I have looked at you, not denying the truth, yet always allowing mercy to go before condemnation, not excusing darkness, yet never forgetting that every soul can still be touched by me. When you choose conversation instead of turning away, blessing instead of bitterness, patience instead of rushing to conclusions, you are allowing my kingdom to quietly take root in the midst of ordinary life. Above all these things, put on love, which is the bond of perfection. As in Colossians 3:14, my beloved child, I am teaching you a holy way of living within ordinary things, listening in silence, rising again in weakness, receiving yourself in my light, and then giving love away through sincere acts. Keep walking in this way, slowly yet faithfully, and in the right season. You will see your path covered with the fruit of grace. My beloved child, there are times when what helps a weary soul rise again is not a long explanation, nor carefully arranged advice, but simply a sincere presence. A heart that does not walk away when someone is passing through a dark season. I want you to understand that true love does not always sound like a trumpet in the crowded streets. Often, it arrives very quietly, sits beside someone who is exhausted, and through its gentleness reminds them that they are still worthy of being cherished. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. As in Proverbs 25:11, yet not only words, even silence filled with mercy can become a vessel of grace. When you draw near to someone without rushing to fix them, without rushing to judge them, without turning their pain into a lesson to preach, you are allowing my love to go before you, and wherever my love goes first, the dry places in a human heart begin to feel the moisture of hope. I want you to remember Onesiphorus, who was not ashamed of Paul's chains, but searched earnestly for him until he found him in Rome. Scripture says that he often refreshed me, as in 2 Timothy 1:16-17. Reflect on that. My child, in prison, in loneliness, in days when many may have distanced themselves from Paul out of fear of association, one man chose to step closer instead of stepping away. Onesiphorus is not remembered for dazzling achievements, but for the faithfulness of a heart that knew how to refresh another soul. Do you see? There are things that appear very small before the world, yet before me they shine like lamps in the night. A timely visit, a hand that refuses to let go, a presence unafraid of another person's wounds. These things can become living letters of my kindness. You are the letter of Christ. As in 2 Corinthians 3:3, and when you love through the way you live, people can read me within you, even before you speak many words. Do not underestimate ordinary gestures done with a pure heart. My child, a cup of water given to the thirsty, a sincere question asking how someone is doing, a gaze free from contempt, a quiet prayer offered for someone who is falling apart. All these things can become seeds of the kingdom of heaven. My only son said that whoever gives even a cup of cold water to one of the little ones in his name will by no means lose his reward. As in Matthew 10:42, what I seek is not always the great act that makes the world applaud. I seek the heart that notices the forgotten, that bends low where others refuse to bend, that stays when presence becomes inconvenient. There are souls who do not need another person proving that they are wrong. They need someone to remind them that they can still be healed. There are shoulders that do not need another burden of rebuke. They need a place gentle enough for tears to fall without shame. The love I place within you is not weak, as the world imagines. It is gentle, but not cowardly, humble, but not powerless, forgiving, but never without wisdom. At times, love means speaking a word of encouragement. At other times, love means quietly walking beside someone. And sometimes, love means setting a healthy boundary so that your soul is not drawn into destruction. Speaking the truth in love. As in Ephesians 4:15, let those two things walk together within you. Truth without love can become a blade, while love without truth can become a covering for wounds that still need healing. I will teach you when to be tender, when to stand firm, when to open your hands, and when to entrust someone to me in prayer. You are not called to save everyone by your own strength, but you are called to become a place through which my grace can flow. I know, my beloved child, that there are people who wounded you so deeply that even the thought of loving again causes your heart to tighten. I do not blame you for those wounds. I do not force you to open the doors of your heart without wisdom, nor do I ask you to return to what has repeatedly shattered you. But I do not want old pain to turn your heart into a room closed forever. My love within you has the power to pass through the walls that hurt has built, not so that you become easy to trample upon, but so that you may be free from bitterness. Love is patient. Love is kin. As in 1 Corinthians 13:4, yet that love is also covered by my wisdom, so that you may know how to love while still standing in the light, how to forgive while still walking in truth, how to speak peace without chaining yourself again to cycles that exhaust your soul. Then you will see that every time you choose to love in my way, something within you is healed as well. When you comfort another person, I also touch the part of you that once needed comfort. When you lift someone who has fallen, I strengthen again the trembling places within your own soul. When you sow hope through a small act, that same hope returns to water your own heart. Whoever refreshes others will himself be refreshed. As in Proverbs 11:25, that is how grace works, not as a cold transaction, but like a river that becomes clearer the more it flows. Do not think your kindness disappears into empty space. No good thing done in my love is ever forgotten. You may not see the results immediately. The person you help today may not rise at once. The words you speak may seem to fall into silence. But I see every seed, and I know the season in which it will sprout. Therefore, my beloved child, let your life become a place where the weary can sense the fragrance of encouragement. Let your words grow less heavy and more full of grace. Let your hands not only hold tightly to what belongs to you, but also open themselves to those in need. Let your eyes not only notice faults, but also recognize the silent cries hidden behind ordinary faces. Carry one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. As in Galatians, Shest, Va. I am writing my story through you, not only in the days when you feel strong, but also in the moments when you choose gentleness, even though your own heart has known pain. Keep walking in this way. My child, when you live as one who refreshes the souls of others, I will use you like a small stream flowing through cracked and thirsty lands. And wherever that stream passes, someone will remember once again that love still exists, hope still remains, and that I am still very near. My beloved child, there will come a season in your journey when my love will not only warm the places where you are living today, but will also gently return to touch the old rooms within your memories. Those rooms were once tightly closed, filled with words that wounded you, moments of being misunderstood, separations that were never explained, things you believed you had forgotten but had actually buried deep inside, simply so you could continue walking forward. I do not blame you for carrying them for so long. There are wounds that cannot be released through a hurried decision, nor healed simply because you force yourself to appear strong. But as my love grows within you, it will not break down the doors of your past. It will knock very softly, enter very gently, and bring with it a warmth of light strong enough for the coldest places within your heart to begin to melt. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. As in Psalm 147:3, I do not only want you to survive your pain, I want you to be free from its hidden power. Perhaps you once believed that forgiveness meant denying what happened, pretending the wound was not deep, or saying that the wrong done to you no longer mattered. No, my child, forgiveness is not calling darkness light, nor is it handing someone the right to wound you again. Forgiveness is placing that burden into my hands, so that you no longer have to carry it in every breath, every night of sleep, every reaction of your heart. When you continue holding on to resentment, little pain becomes like an invisible chain, pulling you back to the place where you were wounded, even while your feet are standing in the present. But when you choose to give it to me, not every memory disappears at once, yet the chains begin to loosen. Cast all your anxiety upon him, because he cares for you. As in 1 Peter 5:7, I can carry even your questions about justice, the answers you still do not have, and the sharp ache that returns when memories rise again. None of it wearies me. I want you to remember Stephen, standing among the stones of hatred while still lifting his eyes toward heaven. As his body suffered, as those around him could not understand the light within him, he did not allow bitterness to become the final word of his life. He knelt down and cried out, Lord, do not hold this sin against them. As in Acts 7:60. Reflect deeply on that. My child, Stephen did not forgive because what was done to him was small. He forgave because his eyes were fixed upon a reality greater than the cruelty before him. He saw me, and when a soul sees me more clearly than its own pain, darkness is no longer permitted to write the ending. Forgiveness did not make Stephen small, it made him radiant. In the same way, when you choose not to let bitterness rule your heart, you are not losing. You are standing in the quiet victory of the kingdom of heaven. There are people who wounded you because they themselves were wounded, but that does not mean you must justify every action they took. I teach you to distinguish between mercy and blindness. Mercy keeps you from becoming imprisoned by hatred. Wisdom keeps you from returning to destructive cycles. You can forgive and still need boundaries. You can wish peace upon someone without placing yourself again in the place where they continue to break you. If it is possible, as much as depends on you, live peaceably with all people. As in Romans 12:18, That word shows you that peace is beautiful, but it also requires truth, repentance, and the willing response of many hearts. Your part is to keep your heart from being poisoned by hatred. My part is to judge with justice, restore what can be restored, and protect you where protection is needed. When you forgive, sometimes the first thing healed is not the outward relationship, but the house within your own soul. You will notice your heart no longer tightening so sharply at the sound of a certain name. You will find that old memories no longer pierce you with the same sharpness as before. You will discover that you can pray without choking on bitterness, that you can smile without forcing yourself to hide exhaustion. That is grace, loosening one knot after another. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds. As in Philippians 4:7, that peace does not come because everyone apologizes to you. Every story is fully explained, or every loss is immediately restored. That peace comes when you realize you no longer need to act as the judge over your own pain, because I am the one who sees the whole truth and misses not a single tear. Then from that freedom, you will begin reconnecting with life through a clearer heart. A person who has not forgiven often sees the present through the colors of old wounds. They easily distrust new love, easily close themselves off from new opportunities, easily hear within harmless words the echoes of voices that once hurt them. But when I heal you, you will no longer make the people of today pay the debts of those from yesterday. You will learn to step into new relationships with discernment, not naively, yet no longer ruled by fear. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God in Christ forgave you. As in Ephesians 4:32, when you forgive, you do not only loosen the chains of the past, you also open the gates to the future. You make room within your heart for new joy, healthy friendships, and trust rebuilt one small stone at a time beneath my light. My child, do not rush yourself in this journey. There is a kind of forgiveness that begins with a trembling prayer. Father, I want to forgive, but my heart still hurts. I receive even that prayer. There is a kind of forgiveness that must pass through many moments of handing the same memory back to me, because each time you remember it, the wound begins to stir again. I remain poor. I do not measure your growth by whether you no longer feel emotion, but by whether you refuse to let those emotions pull you away from my hands. When you are weak, remember, a bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not snuff out. As in Isaiah 42:3, I do not break you during the healing process. I lift you gently, steadily, until your heart becomes light enough to love without being chained by the past. So lay it down, my beloved child. Each heavy stone you have carried for far too long. Lay down the need to prove to everyone that you were right. Lay down the hidden desire to see others hurt as you were once hurt. Lay down even the old story you have repeated so many times within yourself that it has nearly become your identity. You are not what people did to you. You are my beloved child, called by grace, wrapped in mercy, and led into peaceful pastures. When you forgive, my light gains more room to move through your life. When you release, your hands become free to receive what is new. When you stop living beneath the shadow of old wounds, your smile will grow clear again like the first morning after the rain. I am with you through every step of letting go, and I will transform your once heavy heart into a spacious place where love can remain, where peace can grow, and where many others will also find hope through the freedom I have created within you. My beloved child, I want you to understand that forgiveness is not a doorway you walk through once and then everything instantly disappears. Some wounds are healed, layer by layer, just as dawn does not remove darkness in a single breath, but patiently spreads across the earth until all things are brought into the light. Today, perhaps you only have enough strength to lay down one very small piece, an old sentence, an old look, a memory that still tightens your chest whenever it returns. But do not despise that small step, for in my kingdom, every sincere movement of the heart has value. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. As in Philippians 1:6, I do not require you to complete the journey of healing by your own strength. I walk with you day by day, teaching you to release a little more, breathe a little lighter, trust a little deeper, until the thing that once held your heart captive no longer has the power to call you back into pain. Then there will come a day when you are surprised to discover that you can remember the old story without being dragged down by it as before. You may think of the person who hurt you without waves rising inside you that demand to prove yourself, to repay the hurt, or to force them to understand everything you endured, not because what they did suddenly became right, nor because you forgot the truth, but because I have taken that truth into my own hands and lifted from you the burden of being your own judge. Vengeance is mine. I will repay. As in Romans 12:19, that word was not given to feed secret satisfaction within you, but to bring your soul into rest. When you surrender judgment to me, your hands are freed from the heavy stones of resentment. When you stop gripping pain as though it were the final proof of your worth, I will show you that your worth was already secured within my love long before any wound ever touched your life. Remember Joseph, my child, the one who was sold by his own brothers, carried far from home, misunderstood, and imprisoned in a foreign land. If seen only through human eyes, he had every reason to nurture bitterness until the end of his days. Yet when the appointed time came, when those who had harmed him stood before him in weakness, Joseph did not turn power into a blade. He wept. He recognized my hand, greater than human evil. And he said, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." As in Genesis 50:20. Let that story sink deeply into your heart. I do not call evil good, but I do have the power to take even the evil others have done and turn it into a place where grace rises again. Forgiveness does not erase the truth. Forgiveness places the truth beneath the redeeming power of my hands. When you walk in the spirit of forgiveness, the light within you will become a quiet testimony to souls still chained in resentment. There are people around you who laugh and speak as though everything is normal. Yet within them, they still carry prisons unseen by anyone else. They are bound to a name. Adate, a betrayal, a loss. And they do not know how to open the door. When they see that you are no longer ruled by what once wounded you, when they sense within you a peace that is genuine, they will begin to believe that freedom is real. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. As in 2 Corinthians 3:17, and when my Spirit lives actively within you, your life becomes a sign that chains can fall away, that hearts can soften, and that smiles can return after many silent seasons. From that freedom, I will weave new bonds into your life, not through the haste of emotion, but through grace that has been tested and refined. You will learn to love without naivete, to draw close without losing wisdom, to open your heart while still keeping healthy boundaries. Forgiveness does not always mean every relationship returns to its former shape. Sometimes it simply means your heart is no longer imprisoned in the old room. Yet there are also moments when repentance, humility, and sincerity come together, and I will use forgiveness to rebuild bridges once thought destroyed. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God in Christ forgave you. As in Ephesians 4:32, from a forgiven heart, you will learn how to create space for others to be renewed as well. And then, upon the ground washed clean by tears, watered by love, softened by forgiveness, I will cause flowers of unity to grow. Unity does not mean everyone becomes identical, nor that all differences disappear, but that many hearts bow before me together and learn to love in truth. There are people you once believed you could never walk beside, yet when I heal the deepest places within you, you will realize that old memories no longer need to decide the entire future. Behold, how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. As in Psalm 133, such unity is like fragrant oil poured out, soothing dry places, sanctifying ordinary gatherings, and transforming scattered people into a family of faith that knows how to lift one another up. Within that community, you will no longer walk as someone carrying every burden alone. I am preparing for you a spiritual family where one person lifts another up, where the prayer of one becomes shelter for another, where shared songs strengthen weary souls again. For as the body is one and has many members, as in 1 Corinthians 12, every person within my house has a place, a gift, and a portion of light entrusted to them. You need them, and they also need what I have placed within you. When you come into community with a heart that has learned forgiveness, you do not come demanding that others repay your past wounds, but to help build a place where grace may flow freely. So continue on, my beloved child, and do not grow impatient with your own process. If today you can only pray for a heart that feels a little lighter, then pray. If all you can say to me is that you are not yet strong enough to forgive completely, then speak honestly. I do not despise small beginnings. I will lead you from release into peace, from peace into freedom, from freedom into unity, and from unity into the joy of a life that truly belongs. When you allow me to heal you, the walls within you will begin to crack so that light may enter. When you allow me to teach you forgiveness, doors once tightly shut will open in their proper season. And when you step into the family of faith with a softened heart, you will discover that my love not only reconnects you to me, but also joins broken souls together, so that all may lift their eyes and know that I am still among them with everlasting kindness. My beloved child, when I lead you into the family of faith, I do not place you among perfect people, but among hearts that are also being shaped, healed, and taught by me day by day. You will soon understand that community is not a place where everyone always speaks correctly, acts perfectly, or understands one another immediately, but a place where grace is practiced through sincere steps. There will be times when you come into community weary and find a prayer that lifts you again, times when you arrive with joy and the laughter of brothers and sisters makes that joy grow even greater, and times when you simply sit in silence. Yet the presence of others turning their hearts toward me is enough to remind you that you have not been left alone. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, I am there in the midst of them. As in Matthew 18:20. Remember this, my child, the strength of the family of faith does not rest only in what they do for one another, but in my presence quietly dwelling among them, joining different hearts together beneath one roof of love. There are seasons, my beloved child, when you may think you are strong enough to walk alone, yet life itself will teach you that a burning coal separated from the fire quickly grows cold. Faith is the same. If you continue carrying everything by yourself, fighting every battle alone, holding every burden in silence, the flame within you may slowly fade without you even noticing. I have placed around you people who can pray when you are weak, remind you of my word when you forget, weep with you when you are hurting, and rejoice with you when blessings arrive. Encourage one another daily, as in Hebrews 3:13, is not a call to control one another, but an invitation to strengthen one another before a heart becomes hardened by loneliness, weariness, or disappointment. A hand held at the right moment, a sincere word of concern, a meal shared, a simple message filled with care. Such things can become the wind that causes the glowing embers within your soul to burn brightly once again. Remember Barnabas, my child, the one called Son of Encouragement, as in Acts 4:36, when Saul had newly come to faith and many people were still afraid of him, doubting that his transformation was real. Barnabas stepped forward to receive him, brought him to the apostles, and became a bridge for a man once feared to enter into a new community. Do you see? In my house there is always need for those who can see beyond the past of a soul, who can recognize the seed of grace beginning to grow within another person, who can open a door while many others still hesitate. Without hearts like Barnabas, many whom I have touched might still remain standing outside the doorway, afraid of rejection. I also desire you to become such a person, not quick to judge, not eager to exclude, but able through wisdom and kindness to help timid hearts find their place within my family. Within that community, you will learn a kind of love deeper than first emotions. When people remain near one another long enough, differences will appear. Some speak more quickly than you. Others are quieter. Some need more time to grow. Others carry wounds that make their reactions less gentle. Yet it is precisely in those small moments of friction that I teach you longer patience, truer humility, and a love expressed not only through words but through choice. With all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love, eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit and the bond of peace. As in Ephesians 4:2-3, unity does not mean everyone thinks exactly alike in every matter, but that all people place me above their own pride. When you choose to listen instead of reacting quickly, choose to pray before concluding, choose to speak truth in love instead of using truth as a weapon, you are helping preserve that house from being shaken by the winds of the world. I also want you to understand that within the family of faith, you do not come only to receive, but are also invited to give. There are things I have placed within you that others need. There are words of encouragement only you can speak because of the path I have led you through. There is a gentleness within you that can soften a soul growing dry and weary. Yet you are not meant to carry everything alone, nor must you become every role for every person. The body is not made up of one part, but of many. Elchi, as in 1 Corinthians 12:14. Each person has their own part, their own gift, their own rhythm of service. The hand does not need to envy the eye, and the foot does not need to feel ashamed because it is not the ear. When each person remains faithful in the part I have entrusted to them, the whole body becomes healthy, and what seems small in each individual life joins together into the greater picture I am painting upon the earth. Look again at the early church, my child, but do not see it merely as a distant story. They devoted themselves to teaching, fellowship, breaking bread, and prayer, as Acts 2:42 declares, not because they wished to create a beautiful outward image, but because my love had made them belong to one another in a completely new way. They shared so that no one would be forgotten, praised together in ordinary life, endured suffering together, and strengthened one another during seasons of opposition. Their power did not come from wealth, status, or numbers, but from a love poured into their hearts by the Holy Spirit. And today, I can still do the same among you and those I place around you. A small community filled with love can shine farther than a great crowd lacking mercy. A group of people who truly pray, truly forgive, and truly serve can become a living sign that my kingdom is near. Of course, my beloved child, there will be moments when you feel disappointed, because even within community there are still people who are being healed, not yet completed. At times, someone may forget to care for you. At times, careless words may wound your heart. At times, misunderstandings may tempt you to withdraw. But do not let a small tear cause you to abandon the very place I am using to shape your heart. Bring those things to me, and then learn to speak with gentleness. If anyone has a complaint against another, forgive each other as the Lord forgave you. So you also must forgive. As in Colossians 3:13. Forgiveness within community does not mean carelessly ignoring every wrong, but choosing not to let bitterness sever what I am building. There are humble conversations that become the needle stitching together a torn garment. There are sincere apologies that make a fragile bond stronger than before. Then from that household of faith, the love within you will no longer remain still behind familiar walls. Once you have been strengthened, you will desire to strengthen others. Once you have been comforted, you will begin to see how many people outside are still waiting for a helping hand. Once you have heard prayers lifted over you in moments of weakness, you will understand the value of standing beside another person in their weary hour. Each one should use whatever gift he has received to serve others, as faithful stewards of the grace of God. As in it Peter Fira, T. Service is not a heavy burden given so that you may prove your worthiness, but the natural breath of a heart that already knows it is loved. Through your connection with me, you are restored to yourself. Through healing within community, you are then sent out to touch the world. Therefore, my beloved child, enter the family of faith with gratitude, discernment, and mature love. Do not seek it merely as a place to satisfy all your own needs, but recognize it as the ground I use to care for you, help you grow, and shape you into a blessing for others. Let shared laughter lighten heavy days. Let shared prayer strengthen trembling knees. Let tears poured out together become streams that soften the soil of weary hearts. I am weaving you into a garment larger than your individual life, where every thread carries its own color and meaning. And when you love together, forgive together, and serve together, the world will see not merely a group of people gathered in one place, but a family born of grace, a flame not easily extinguished, a living testimony that I am still alive, still joining hearts together, and still sending forth those who have been loved to love others in return. My beloved child, when my love has been nurtured within your heart, it cannot remain still like water trapped inside a sealed vessel. True love always seeks a way to flow outward, not because it is forced, not because it desires praise from people, but because its very nature is to give life. When you have been strengthened by community, covered by the prayers of brothers and sisters, lifted up by gentle hands during days of weakness, then a holy desire will quietly awaken within you. You will long to become a blessing to others. This is not a burden I place upon your shoulders, but the natural breath of a heart that has touched grace. The Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. As in Mark 9:9. When you serve, you do not lose your dignity. You step into the noble path. My son, walk before you. Do not think that service begins only when you possess great abilities, abundant time, much wealth, or a position that others can see. In my kingdom, small things done with pure love carry eternal weight. A timely message of concern may rescue someone from the feeling of being forgotten. A simple meal may become a sign that I am still caring for them. 1 hour spent patiently listening may open a refuge for a soul that has not dared to speak honestly for a very long time. My son said, "Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." as in Matthew 25:40. Therefore, do not despise the small loaf of bread, the small cup of water, the brief visit, or the quiet act no one notices. Before my eyes, love does not need a stage in order to shine brightly. It only needs a willing heart. I want you to remember the Shunammite woman, my beloved child, who did not stand among crowds to preach, nor seek a name for herself, but who recognized Elisha as my servant and opened her home to receive him. She prepared a small room for him, with a bed, a tablet, a chair, and a lampstand, as told in 2 Kings 4:8-10. Do you see? Sometimes service does not appear in the form of something grand, but simply in creating a place of rest for someone weary on the journey I have given them. A small room offered in reverence can become a place where blessing visits. I saw that quiet hospitality, and from it I opened great joy within her life. In the same way, when you open a space in your life where others may rest, breathe, and feel that they belong, I can use that very simplicity to accomplish things far beyond what you imagine. There are times when serving requires you to bend low, and it is precisely in that bending low that I heal the hidden pride within your heart. The world often teaches you to rise higher in order to be seen, but I teach you to stoop down in order to love. On the night before his suffering, my son wrapped a towel around himself, poured water into a basin, and washed the feet of his disciples. He said, "If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet." As in John 13:14, that was not an image of humiliation, but the throne of humility. When you lower yourself in order to lift others up, you do not become smaller in my eyes. Rather, you become more like me. I use those moments to refine your heart, making you less self-centered, less closed off, less consumed with yourself, and broader in mercy. But you must also remember, my child, that service does not mean exhausting yourself in order to prove your love. I do not call you into unwise sacrifice, nor do I want you to use good works to hide a soul that is quietly growing weary. You serve out of fullness in me, not out of fear that if you stop, you will no longer be loved. Each one should use whatever gift he has received to serve others, as faithful stewards of the grace of God. As in at Peter Fire, Tia, the gifts entrusted to you are meant to flow outward, yet they must remain under my guidance. There are moments when I tell you to step forward. There are moments when I tell you to rest. There are moments when I ask you to hand part of the work to someone else, because my body has many members, and you were never called to carry everything alone. Then, through serving, you will discover doors of connection you never saw before. When you step toward the poor, the lonely, the hurting, and the forgotten, you will begin to hear stories that soften your heart. You will realize that behind every face, there is an entire world. Behind every need, there is a silent prayer. And behind every outstretched hand, there is a soul longing to be seen. There are people who have cried out to me in tears where no one could hear. And you may become the answer I send to them. When you offer goodness at the right moment, you do not only help them survive a difficult day, you remind them that I have never forgotten them. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown. As in Hebrews 6:10, not one step of loving service is ever lost from my eternal memory. My beloved child, the more you serve with a pure heart, the more you yourself will be transformed. The person you help may be lifted up, yet you too are being renewed. When you share bread, gratitude grows within you. When you listen to the suffering, you learn to speak more slowly and love more deeply. When you walk an extra mile beside the weary, you begin to understand more clearly the patience I have shown you through so many seasons. When you wipe tears from another person's face, you begin to realize how many times I have wiped away your own tears without you even noticing. Service is not only a hand reaching outward, it is also a refining fire within, where I purify your motives, mature your love, and give your faith a living form in the midst of ordinary life. So step forward, my beloved child, but step forward with the gentleness of one who is being led by me. Let your hands learn to lift others up. Let your feet learn to walk toward places that need light. Let your lips speak words that awaken hope again. Do not wait until you possess everything before you begin to love. Begin with what is already in your hands today. A smile, a prayer, a meal, a sincere presence, a quiet act of kindness, unseen by others. All these things can become streams of cool water in dry land. I will use such small things to reconnect hearts, to open paths for grace, to enter places once tightly closed, and to make your life a testimony that love is not only something spoken within church walls, but life poured out upon the dusty roads of this world. Keep serving in this way, quietly yet faithfully, seeking no glory for yourself, but doing all things before my eyes. Then you will discover that in the very places where you give yourself away, I make you richer in peace, deeper in love, and nearer to me with every breath. My beloved child, I know there are days when your hands want to open toward others, yet your heart feels weary when your feet want to walk toward those in need. Yet your strength seems to have faded, and you wonder whether you still have anything left to give. I do not condemn you for those limits, for I know you are dust into which I breathed life, not a fountain that can endlessly supply itself. But remember this, when you serve within my love, you are not drinking from the small cup of your own strength, but are connected to the deep waters of grace. Those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. As in Isaiah 40:31. That word is not only for the moments when you stand upon mountaintops, but also for the days when you quietly do good that no one notices. I do not call you to serve in order to exhaust you, but so that through you, my love may flow into places that have grown dry, and within that very flow, I also refresh your own soul. At times, you may think service must be something grand, something widely recognized, something seen by many before it becomes meaningful. Yet in my kingdom, what is truly noble often hides beneath the appearance of ordinary things. A bowl of rice given to the hungry, a coat laid across the shoulders of someone cold, a simple message sent to a person who believed they had been forgotten, an afternoon spent quietly listening while someone pours out their heart. These things are not small before me. My son declared, "Whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me," as in Matthew 25:40. Therefore, do not despise the tiny seeds planted in mercy. The world may only celebrate dazzling accomplishments, but I remember even the cup of cold water you offered in silence. Every step you took toward places no one else wished to go, and the patience you extended toward a soul who had not yet learned how to say thank you. Remember the servant girl in Naaman's house? My child, she held no position, no authority, and did not stand before crowds to teach. Yet even after being taken far from her homeland, she still carried a gentle light within her. When she saw her master suffering from leprosy, she simply spoke a quiet word, saying that if he went to my prophet in Samaria, he would be healed. As told in 2 Kings 5:2-3, one small sentence from a young servant girl, considered insignificant by others, became the doorway through which a powerful man encountered my grace. Do you see? Service does not always begin with hands accomplishing great works. Sometimes it begins with a single word of hope, spoken at the right moment. I can use your quiet faithfulness to become the answer to a prayer you never even heard. Do not ask whether you are important enough. Ask whether your heart is willing for me to use the small things already placed within your hands. In every act of service, my beloved child, I am not only touching the one who receives, but also quietly shaping the heart of the one who gives. When you bend down to help someone rise again, the pride within you is softened. When you share what you have, gratitude grows deeper within your soul. When you listen to another person's pain, you learn to see life through eyes wider than your own story. My son himself, on the night before his suffering, knelt down to wash the feet of his disciples and said, I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. As in John 13:15, the Holy One chose a towel and a basin of water to reveal the glory of humility. Therefore, every time you serve with a pure heart, you are walking in the footsteps of the one who loved to the very end. But, my beloved child, I also want you to serve with wisdom, not out of guilt or pressure to please everyone. My love does not turn you into someone who must burn yourself empty in order to prove that you are good. I am the vine. You are the branches. Whoever abides in me, and I in him, bears much fruit. As in John 15:5, a branch bears fruit because it remains connected to the vine, not because it forces itself to live. Remain in me before you step out toward others. Let me fill your heart before you pour into someone else. There are moments when I will tell you to go, moments when I will tell you to rest, and moments when I will teach you to entrust part of the work to others. Because my body has many members, and you were never meant to carry the entire world upon your shoulders. The most beautiful service flows from connection with me, not from fear of being abandoned if you stop. Then you will witness something truly wondrous. When you give love in the right way, hope begins to grow in eyes that once were dark. A person who believed themselves invisible suddenly feels seen. Someone who thought they had been forgotten suddenly realizes that I am still caring for them through your hands. A heart long shut closed may begin to open simply because you approached without judgment. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. As in Galatians chest, David, the harvest of love does not always appear immediately. Yet no seed planted in me is ever meaningless. You may only notice a smile returning, a lighter breath, a tear gently wiped away. But I see an entire field beneath the soil, already beginning to turn green. So step forward with humble hands and a tender heart. My child, do not wait until you feel completely full before you begin to do good. Begin with what I have already placed before you today. A person who needs encouragement. A family that needs a warm meal. Someone lonely who needs your presence. Someone discouraged who needs another person to pray beside them. Each one should use whatever gift he has received to serve one another as faithful stewards of the grace of God. As in Peter 5, sure, you are not merely a giver, you are a steward of the grace I have entrusted to your life. When you use those gifts in love, connections will be woven together again, communities will be warmed, and thirsty souls will realize that I am still walking among them. I am with you in every small act, in every unnoticed step, in every sacrifice no one mentions. In every moment, you choose gentleness instead of indifference. Let service become the quiet song of your life, not loud, yet steadfast, not displayed before crowds, yet carrying the fragrance of heaven. When you grow weary, return to me. When you rejoice, offer that joy back to me. When you see fruit appear, remember that I am the one who causes the seed to grow. And as you continue giving from the source of love that never runs dry, You will understand that serving does not make your life poorer, but enlarges your soul to contain more peace, more joy, and more light. Let me continue working through your hands, my beloved child, for wherever love is given in my name, hope will always find its way back. My beloved child, do not be quick to conclude that the silence around you is a sign of abandonment. There are seasons when I do not act noisily before your eyes, because I am doing a deeper work beneath the roots. A great tree does not rise through haste, before its branches reach toward the light. Its roots must quietly push through dark soil and cling firmly to places unseen by anyone else. Your life is the same. The days that seem slower, the door is not yet opened. The prayers without clear answers do not mean I have stopped working. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. As in Galatians shest, devet, let that word become a small lamp within your heart. I do not delay in order to hurt you, but to prepare within you a steadiness that hurried success could never give. There are things that, if they came too early, would overwhelm you. But once I have formed you deeply enough, you will step into them, not with haste, but with the peace of one who has been prepared in secret places. I know, my beloved child, that there are marks you carry within your heart that others cannot see. There are pains that have already passed yet still leave traces upon your memory, seasons when you had to smile while inwardly struggling just to remain standing, nights when hope seemed no more than a fading ember. Yet you still refuse to let go of my hand. My child, those scars do not make you less beautiful in my eyes. I do not look at your wounds as evidence of ruin, but as testimonies of the grace that carried you through the fire. We are hard-pressed on every side, yet not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed. As in 2 Coríntios 4:8-9, you have walked through many things that even you do not fully understand how you survived. But I know, not merely because your will was strong, but because my hand was beneath you in every place where you thought you were falling. Remember Jacob in the night at Peniel. He entered that night carrying fear, a tangled past, and unresolved struggles deep within himself. Then he wrestled until dawn. When the sun rose, he did not leave that place as someone untouched. He walked away with a limp, but also with a new name. I changed his name to Israel because he had wrestled and still clung to the blessing. Do you see? There are encounters with me that do not erase every mark of the battle, but transform those marks into reminders that you have encountered the living God. Jacob's limp was not a mark of shame. It became the sign of a life that had been renamed. In the same way, the very things that once made you believe you were weak may become the places where I reveal a new story. When I touch you, I do not merely heal the surface. I transform the way you understand yourself. Some people look at you and see only limitations, but I see a place where my power may dwell. Some look at your circumstances and call them dead ends, but I have already seen the road hidden behind the wall. Some remember you only by your failures, but I call you by what I placed within you long before you learned to name yourself. We are the clay, and you are potter. We are all the work of your hand. As in Isaiah 64:8, you are not a broken fragment abandoned by the roadside. You are a work still being shaped by my hands, sometimes through pressure, sometimes through tears, sometimes through seasons of waiting longer than you wished. I see beyond the dust of disappointment to the light I planted within you. I see deeper than the labels others have placed upon you, and I still recognize my image within your soul, even when it is covered for a time by weariness and fear. Therefore, do not be ashamed of the seasons when you trembled. Courage does not mean you were never afraid. Courage means you kept walking while your hands were shaking, but your eyes still searched for me. There are paths so covered in fog that you cannot see how to move forward. Yet I have never required you to see the whole road before obeying. I will go before you and make the crooked places straight. As in Isaiah 45:2, what you cannot foresee, I have already seen. What you cannot control, I still hold within my power. Every small step, every moment you choose prayer instead of despair, every time you rise again after falling, every refusal to let darkness convince you that your story has ended, all of it remains within my care. You may see yourself as slow, but I see you becoming steady. You may see yourself as weak, but I see you learning to depend upon the right source. When the appointed time comes, you will understand why I did not allow everything to open all at once. I am building within you a foundation strong enough to carry what I am about to entrust to you. A tall house cannot stand upon shallow ground. A life meant to carry light must also be formed in hidden places. There are seasons where no one applauds you, yet I use them to teach you faithfulness. There are times when no one notices you, yet I use them to protect the seed from harmful eyes before it is ready to grow. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing. As in James 1:4, waiting in my hands is never wasted. It is the refining fire of depth, the chamber of maturity, the place where I transform your heart from haste into steadiness, from fear into trust, from longing to be seen into longing to remain faithful. My beloved child, look back upon what you have overcome, but do not look with regret. Look as one who recognizes my fingerprints upon every stretch of the road. If you are still breathing, still able to love, still longing for what is good, still willing to rise again in the light, then your story is not finished. I have not written a final ending over your life. I am still writing with mercy. Your scars will no longer be chains dragging you back into the past, but testimonies that I can preserve a soul through storms and make it shine more brightly after seasons of darkness. Keep walking forward, not as one who was never wounded, but as one who has been kept by me. And as you walk in that peace, the world will see within you a gentle light that does not easily fade, a soft strength that does not easily break, a life proving that in my hands, pain is not the ending, delay is not failure, and every new beginning can bloom from the very place where you once believed there was nothing left to hope for. My beloved child, let your heart grow still and remember that the days of waiting are not blank pages in the story of your life. There are seasons when everything seems unmoving. Yet within that silence, I am arranging things your eyes cannot yet see. A seed buried beneath the earth is not hidden in order to disappear. It is being covered so that it may break forth at the appointed time. In the same way, the promises I have placed upon your life must pass through time, through refinement, through quiet layers of protection, so that when they appear, they will not be fragile before the winds of this world. Though the vision tarries, wait for it will surely come. As in Habakkuk 2:3. I am not delaying the way human beings understand delay. I am deepening your roots, strengthening your heart, purifying your faith, so that when the door finally opens, you will not enter with confusion, but with the peace of one who knows they have been prepared in the hands of the Father. Do not believe that hidden places are signs of rejection. There are places where I conceal you not because I have forgotten you, but because I am protecting you from eyes not yet gentle enough, from praise that could pull your heart off course, from opportunities that arrive too early and outside their proper season. When I decide to lift you up, you will not need to struggle by your own strength, nor beg for the approval of those who once failed to recognize your worth. I have set before you an open door that no one can shut. As in Revelation 3:8, those words belong to the one who holds the keys, not to the voices standing outside in judgment. You may have been overlooked, dismissed, or forced to bow your head in rooms that wounded your spirit. But I have the power to transform those very places into evidence that my hand has never stopped working. When I open the way, human resistance cannot undo what I have appointed. When I call your name, the noise of the world cannot erase you from my heart. I want you to remember Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, who lived in Lo-debar as one forgotten, carrying within his body the marks of past tragedy, and within his heart perhaps the shame of a life pushed aside. Yet kindness sought him out through King David. The man who believed he no longer had a place in the king's house was called back, restored to his inheritance, and invited to eat at the king's table as a son of the household. As told in 2 Samuel 9, do you see what the world calls the remains of loss? I can transform into a place where mercy is revealed. Mephibosheth did not open that door by himself. Grace came searching for him. In the same way, your future is not determined by the things that wounded you. I can lead you from barren places into the banquet of restoration, not because you were never weak, but because my covenant of love is stronger than every fracture. When you feel weak, stop being ashamed of your limits and bring them before me. Weakness placed in my hands is not failure. It becomes the place where my power may be revealed in purity. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. As in 2 Corinthians 2:9, if your mind is troubled, ask me instead of turning endlessly within your own anxiety. For if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God. As in James 1:5, I do not require you to know every step before continuing forward. I simply invite you to lay down your burdens piece by piece and stop carrying things that no longer belong to the life I have prepared for you. The pain you endured was real, and I do not deny it, but it does not have the authority to place a final period upon your story. In my hands, the very places where you once fell can become the foundation upon which you rise again. The places once covered in darkness can become the places where my light is seen more clearly than ever before. Not one tear you cried in loneliness has fallen into forgetfulness. Not one broken prayer whispered into the night has been treated lightly by me. Not one season of quiet endurance has been meaningless before my eyes. Those who sow in tears shall reap with songs of joy. As in Psalm 126:5. Let that word strengthen your heart. I am transforming the experiences that once caused you pain into wisdom that will one day help you lift others up. There will come a time when the story you once believed was only a wound becomes the key that opens hope for another soul walking through a valley like the one you once knew. When you tell them that I am faithful, your words will not be empty, because they were born from the fire that refined you. When you comfort them, your comfort will carry weight, because you will not speak as one standing at a distance, but as one who has personally been lifted from the depths by my loving hand. Therefore, my beloved child, guard your words carefully during this season of transition. Do not use your lips to strengthen old chains through self-condemnation, nor speak over your future with the language of fear. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. As in Proverbs 18:21, the words you speak can build a house of hope, or keep you wandering inside the room of your past. Call upon my name over your home, your family, your work, and the trembling places within your heart. Speak what is true, that I am your refuge, that I am making you new, that what I have spoken will not return empty. As declared in Isaiah 55:11, when darkness reminds you of what was lost, remind your soul of the one who still remains with you. when fear tells you to shrink back, let my word enlarge your heart again. You were not created to live forever inside the tight garment of shame. I have clothed you instead with peace, dignity, and purpose. Do not trade away the precious things I have placed into your hands for an easier path that leaves your soul impoverished. Do not step away from the promise simply because you have grown weary of waiting. Do not imprison yourself within the small definitions others have placed upon you, for I have never called you by those limitations. What I give does not stand upon the foundation of your perfection, but upon the faithfulness of my character. God is not a man, that he should lie, nor a son of man, that he should change his mind. As in Numbers 23:19, if I have determined to restore, then I know how to restore. If I have chosen to open a way, then I know how to part the sea. If I have promised to give back, I will not merely provide enough for you to survive, but grace enough for you to become a light for many who come after you. Be patient a little longer, my beloved child. Silence is not absence. Waiting is not rejection, and hidden places are not the graveyard of your calling. I am preparing something that can endure through time, something that will not only bless you, but also open courage within those who will one day look upon your life. And when that season comes, you will not say that you created everything by your own strength. You will bow your heart and recognize that I carried you through every road, even the roads you did not understand. Stand firm in me. Keep your heart pure. Use your words to sow life. Continue walking with a faith that is quiet yet steadfast. Then you will see that from places once marked by shame, I create peace. From places once marked by loss, I bring forth restoration. And from your very life, I will write a radiant testimony that my hand never fails. My beloved child, do not let the silence of this season convince you that I have forgotten you amidst the flow of blessings. No, you have not been pushed outside my plan, nor held back because you are less valuable than anyone else. There are times when I ask you to stand still, not to punish you, but to prepare you, not to make you miss what is good, but so your heart may become deep enough, pure enough, and steady enough to enter what I am opening before you. All things work together for good to those who love God. As in Romans 8:28, even the waiting, even the silence, even the doors not yet opened are being woven by my hands into a greater picture than what you can see today. You asked me to enlarge your life, but true enlargement often begins when I cleanse your heart of things that have become too small, too heavy, too familiar, things you mistook for your only place of safety. I do not remove things in order to leave you empty. I remove them to create space for what comes from me to dwell within you. There are things that once sustained you in one season but cannot carry you into the next. A garment that once fit you as a child becomes too tight when you grow. A harbor that once protected you from storms can become a prison if you remain there forever, out of fear of the ocean. I know you feel confused when familiar things begin slipping from your hands, a relationship fading away, a habit no longer bringing life, an environment that once gave comfort but now leaves your soul suffocating. But my child, do not cling to something simply because it is familiar. The old has passed away. Behold, all things have become new. As in 2 Coríntios 5:17. My newness does not always arrive with celebration at the beginning. Sometimes it comes through quiet surrender, through a closed door, through an invitation to step away from the place you have known too well. I do not ask you to leave so that you may become lost. I call you out so that you may encounter me more deeply. Remember Abraham, my beloved child, when I spoke to him, saying, "Go from your country, your relatives, and your father's house to the land I will show you." As in Genesis 12:1, I did not hand him the entire map at once. I gave him only a promise and a calling. He had to walk without seeing the destination clearly, leaving behind what was familiar in order to embrace what could only be received through faith. Hebrews 11:8 says that by faith Abraham obeyed and went out to the place he would later receive as an inheritance, even though he did not know where he was going. Do you see? The deepest obedience does not always require every explanation before it begins. There are steps that only become meaningful after you have already placed them down in trust. If Abraham had remained where he was because he needed everyone to understand him, he would never have entered the journey of covenant. In the same way, do not allow the doubts of others to become chains that keep you in places I have already called you to leave. There will be people who do not understand why you are changing, why you no longer choose the old paths, why you are walking in a direction that seems unfamiliar to them. They may think you are too risky, too different, too quiet, or too trusting in something they cannot yet see. But my calling does not need the approval of crowds in order to become real. I did not create your life to be governed by the agreement of surrounding voices. The fear of man lays a snare. But whoever trusts in the Lord shall be safe. As in Proverbs 29:25. Love others, but do not hand them the authority to define your path in my place. There are things I speak to you in secret places that others have not heard. There are preparations I am making within your heart that outsiders only perceive as silence. Keep your spirit gentle, but do not lose your obedience. Remain humble, but do not shrink your calling merely to avoid being misunderstood. I have seen every good thing you have done when no one spoke your name. I saw the moments when you chose peace instead of a harsh reply, when you remained silent, not out of weakness, but because you did not wish to sow more hurt, when you kept a humble heart even while being misunderstood, when you loved quietly without demanding recognition. Your Father who sees in secret will reward you. As in Matthew 6:4, do not believe that hidden things are meaningless. In my kingdom, the seeds planted deep beneath the surface often grow the strongest roots. Perhaps no one sees your growth today, but I see every moment you overcame yourself. Every time you refused to let bitterness rule you. Every time you chose my word over the voice of fear. Nothing done in love is ever lost from my memory. At the appointed time, what I have quietly nurtured will shine on its own, and you will not need to defend yourself before others. When I lead you into new environments, you will discover strengths you never knew you possessed. Not the proud strength of someone trusting in their own abilities, but the quiet strength of one upheld by grace. There are capacities within you that awaken only when you leave old places behind. There are prayers that deepen only when familiar supports are removed. There are dimensions of faith that open only when you follow me along roads you have never traveled before. Do not remember the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing, as in Isaiah 43:18-19. That new thing is not a passing emotion, nor a surface opportunity meant for self-glory. It is a work I am building within you from the foundation upward, a work able to endure testing, unmoved by praise, unshaken by criticism, and not redirected because others fail to understand it. Therefore, my beloved child, guard your heart carefully before me. Stay watchful against the things that try to pull you back into your former self. Fear, habits of self-doubt, the need for everyone's approval, or the urge to explain every step you take. Not every explanation must be spoken aloud. There are answers I will allow your life itself to reveal in due season. Remain near me in prayer, in my living word, and in the silence that knows how to listen. For there you will learn to distinguish my voice from the noise of human voices. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. As in Proverbs 3:5-6, I do not require you to run faster than grace. I ask only that you walk in step with me. My beloved child, what I am preparing for you is not fragile like a passing breeze. It carries the weight of faithfulness, the depth of refinement, and the mark of my hand upon it. Do not fear when certain people walk away, when some doors close, or when familiar places no longer fit your soul. I am enlarging you to hold something greater, not greater by the applause of the world, but greater in life, in peace, and in holy influence. Keep walking, even if your first steps still tremble. Keep believing, even when your eyes cannot yet see everything. Keep your heart pure, even when others do not understand you. I am before you to open the way, behind you to protect you, within you to strengthen you, and above you to cover you. And when the new season arrives, you will know that it was I who led you out of narrow places, not to make you lost, but to establish you in the spacious land of promise, where your life becomes a testimony that those who follow my calling are never forgotten. My beloved child, quiet your heart and recognize that I never intended for you to walk this journey alone. There are stretches of the road where I desire you to walk privately with me, so your soul may be shaped in hidden places. But there are also seasons when I will place beside you people who carry the same breath of faith, the same hunger for truth, the same longing for my light. They do not come to indulge the weaknesses you are meant to overcome, nor to flatter you with empty words that merely sound pleasant. They come as companions. I have chosen people who know how to speak truth in love, who remind you to stand upright when you want to shrink back, who pray beside you when clouds cover the road ahead. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. As in Proverbs 27:17. Understand this, my child, the relationships I give are not woven together by temporary benefit, but by grace, faithfulness, and my presence dwelling among them. Perhaps you have already begun to sense quiet changes within your heart, and I do not want you to overlook those signs. My beloved child, things that once captivated you now seem strangely faded. The noise that once pulled you along no longer holds the same power over your soul. You find yourself longing for silence, searching for hidden places where you may hear me more clearly, wanting to lay down the things that once made your spirit heavy. This is not happening without reason. It is my hand separating you from the things that no longer nourish life within you, preparing you for a deeper place in me. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. As in Romans 12:12, as your mind is renewed, you will no longer mistake every voice for a true calling, no longer confuse false light with genuine guidance, and no longer allow old desires to determine the direction of your life. Remember Aquila and Priscilla, the quiet couple I used to strengthen Apollos. Apollos was eloquent and fervent in the scriptures, yet he still needed to understand my way more fully. They did not shame him publicly, nor use their knowledge to diminish him, but took him aside privately and explained the way of God more accurately. As told in Acts 18:24-26. Do you see? The people I send into your life are not always those who merely stand behind you applauding. Sometimes they are the ones who gently correct your direction and help you walk more precisely within your calling. Do not fear correction that comes through love and reverence for me. One word of guidance offered in grace may protect you from years of wandering off course. A true friend is not only joyful when you shine, but loves you enough to help ensure that your light is not mixed with pride, hostility, or self-deception. I am also sharpening discernment within you. In the past, perhaps you were easily shaken by the opinions of others, easily mistook pressure for calling, or assumed every open opportunity came from me. But now you are learning to recognize the sound of peace. You are beginning to understand that some words may sound attractive yet leave your spirit restless. Some paths may seem faster, yet quietly pull your soul away from me. Some relationships may appear close while secretly drawing you back toward your former self. My sheep hear my voice, I know them, and they follow me. As in John saying, 27, when you remain close to me, you will no longer need to chase every invitation. You will know how to wait, how to test, how to place all things beneath the light of my word. And that very slowness will protect you from doors that do not belong to me. My beloved child, I have seen your growth even when you did not yet know how to name it. You no longer react in the same way you once did. You no longer feel the same need to prove yourself before everyone. You have learned how to remain silent without bitterness, how to release things without despair, how to trust even before seeing the outcome. Others may only look at the surface and believe nothing has changed, but I have seen the battles you won within your own heart. The words you chose not to speak in order to preserve peace. The small decisions you made out of reverence for me. Your Father who sees in secret will reward you. As in Matthew 6:6, what I have built within you in hidden places is not weak. It is a foundation stone laid deep beneath the surface, not easily shaken by praise or criticism, by delay or seasons of testing. Then the time will come when I reveal what I have nurtured in secret, not so that you may exalt yourself, but so others may recognize that my grace has the power to lift a life from places once considered insignificant. The words that once caused you to shrink back will no longer imprison you in shame. The mistakes you once wept over before me will no longer hang over your soul as a sentence. I have washed you in mercy, kept you by my power, and called you by a name no one can erase. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, all things have become new. As in 2 Coríntios 5:17, you are not the sum of your past failures, nor the image others tried to confine you within. You are the work of my hands, being perfected through every season, every tear, and every moment you chose to rise again. Therefore, as you step into this new season, keep your heart tender yet steadfast. Do not return to the things I have already set you free from simply because they are familiar. Do not seek safety in old places when I am calling you into the wide spaces of promise. I will place around you people who know how to pray beside you, but you must still choose to listen to me first. I will open the right doors, but you must still walk through them by faith. I will renew your strength, but you must remain near the source of life. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. As in Proverbs 3:5-6, when you place me at the center, your relationships, opportunities, and direction will all be brought back into their proper order. I have heard the cry of your heart, my beloved child, even the words that never fully became sentences. I have seen the nights when you pleaded for a sign, the mornings when you forced yourself to rise, though your spirit still felt heavy, the moments when you quietly wondered whether you were truly moving forward at all. And today I speak this over you. You are being guided, not abandoned. You are being prepared, not delayed without purpose. You are being lifted up, not by your own strength, but by my hand. I go before you to open the way, beside you to comfort you, behind you to protect you, and within you to strengthen you. Continue walking with a pure heart, a watchful spirit, and enduring faith. What I established long ago cannot be undone by the doubts of others. And when the season of revealing comes, you will know that it was I who accomplished every part of it. And your life will become a living testimony that those who belong to me are never forgotten in darkness. My beloved child, when you step onto unfamiliar roads, do not let their strangeness convince your heart that you have been abandoned in some vast, nameless place. I did not call you away from old shores so you could drift without direction. Nor did I open new lands before you, only to stand far away and watch you struggle alone. I go before you to prepare the path. I remain beside you to sustain you. And I stand behind you like a wall of protection against dangers you cannot yet see. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. As in Deuteronomy 31:8, let that word become the seal upon every step you take. Therefore, when you grow weary, lean upon me without shame when anxiety rises. Call upon my name without hesitation, and when joy fills your spirit, let your songs rise before me like the fragrance of gratitude. There are seasons when I teach you to slow down, not to push you behind others, but so the roots of your soul may sink deeper into true life. The world often teaches you that faster means better, louder means stronger, and being seen means being valuable. Yet, in my kingdom, a seed first needs the hidden darkness of soil before it reaches for sunlight. A river first requires hidden springs before it can refresh the fields. In quietness and trust shall be your strength. As in Isaiah 30:15. Let those words calm the rhythm of your breathing. Do not fear silence, for in silence my voice becomes clearer. Do not fear seasons of rest, for in those moments I restore the parts of you that have grown weary from striving too long. Remember the two disciples on the road to Emmaus. They walked with heavy hearts, believing hope itself had died after painful events. Yet my son came near and walked beside them. Though at first they did not recognize him, he did not rebuke them for their sorrow, nor abandon them in confusion. He opened the scriptures to them, walked with them along the dusty road. And when the moment came, their eyes were opened to recognize that the risen Lord had been beside them all along. As in Luke 13:32. Do you see? My child, sometimes I am already walking with you in the midst of your most uncertain steps, but your heart is still covered in mist and cannot yet recognize me. An unfamiliar road does not mean you are lost. Often it is precisely upon unfamiliar roads that I break bread. Open eyes and make hearts burn with hope again. Tonight, let the noise around you fall quiet for a while. Place your hand upon your chest. Breathe slowly and whisper to me the simplest truth. I belong to you. That is enough. If your soul is still tired, I do not demand perfect prayers when what your spirit truly needs is to be held. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. As in Psalm 26:1. The good shepherd does not force wounded sheep to run faster than their strength allows, but leads them beside still waters and into green pastures. Let my peace settle upon your shoulders like the morning dew, gentle, yet real. Let your burdens fall away like leaves, reaching the end of their season, without forcing yourself to keep carrying them, simply because you have grown accustomed to their weight. And when morning comes, do not believe you must accomplish something great in order to be faithful. Begin instead with one small act done in love, a word of encouragement spoken sincerely, a gentle kindness shown to someone weary, a trembling choice to forgive, a quiet moment spent listening to another without rushing to judge them. These are the ways you continue writing the story I have begun in your life. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. As in Galatians 6:9, you may not always see the harvest of every seed immediately, but I see it all. I know the places where your words prevented a soul from sinking deeper into despair, and the moments where your simple presence reminded someone that they had not been forgotten. Everything you pour out in my name will never disappear into emptiness. Love has its own way of returning, though not always through the very people you helped, but through my vast and faithful hands. Sometimes it returns as unexpected peace in the middle of a chaotic day, sometimes as a small joy quietly blooming in your heart after an act of kindness, sometimes as a door opening when you least expected it. Whoever refreshes others will himself be refreshed. As in Proverbs 11:25. This is not a cold transaction, but the gentle law of grace. When you sow connection with sincerity, I cause peace to blossom. When you choose love instead of closing your heart, I ignite hope in places that once seemed filled only with ashes. If tomorrow brings moments when your spirit trembles again, return to this promise. Wherever you call upon me, there I am, not only in churches, not only in solemn hours of prayer, but also in the small kitchen, on the empty road, amid the noise of passing cars, and in the room where you once cried alone. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted. As in Psalm Kolmikumentenelia, Codex Antoista, I am nearer than your own breath, nearer than the fears you have not yet found words to name. You may not be able to control the whole future, but you are held in the hands of the one who saw the end from the very beginning. Therefore, do not surrender your soul to anxiety, as though anxiety knows the way forward. Give your soul to me instead, for I know the path even when all you can see is fog. My beloved child, your future is not resting in the hands of chance, nor is it determined by the days when your heart grew weak. I keep my word. I keep you, and I keep all that belongs to you within my goodness. Continue walking with gentle eyes, willing hands, and a heart that knows how to return to its source. Slow is acceptable, as long as you walk with me. Silence is acceptable, as long as your heart still listens for my voice. Smallness is acceptable, as long as what you do is sown in love. I will give your life direction, meaning, and fruit in its appointed season. And when you look back, you will see that every step which once seemed scattered has been woven together by me into a path of grace, where peace blooms, hope shines again, and my love continually leads you toward life. My beloved child, there are changes taking place within you so quietly that even you may barely notice them. Yet before me, they are not small at all. Perhaps you have only begun to feel them like a thin breeze passing through your soul. The things that once captivated you no longer hold the same power. The noise that once made you feel accepted now feels strangely distant. The old desires that once occupied so much space in your heart are beginning to give way to a deeper, purer, more enduring longing. Do not call this coincidence, nor think you are drifting away from life itself. I am drawing you into a new depth, where your soul will no longer be fed by fading applause, but by the living word and my presence. Do not conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. As in Romans 12:12, that is what I am doing within you, renewing not only your thoughts, but even your spiritual appetite, so that you may learn to love what is pure, choose what brings peace, and recognize what truly comes from me. Along this path, I will not leave you to walk forever in loneliness. There are seasons when I bring you into solitude, so you may learn to hear my voice apart from the noise of the crowd. But there are also seasons when I send people to help keep the fire alive within you. They do not come to make you dependent upon them, but to remind you to return to me. They do not come to soothe your pride, but to speak truth in love, so that when you begin to stumble, they do not push you deeper into fear, but help you stand again in the light. Two are better than one, because they have a good reward for their labor. If one falls, the other will lift up his companion. As in Ecclesiastes 4:9, open your eyes to recognize the connections I am giving you, for they are not built upon temporary benefit, nor maintained through pretense, but through reverence for me, through prayer, and through faithfulness during difficult days. Remember Moses upon the hill while my people fought against Amalek. Whenever his hands were raised, Israel prevailed. Whenever his hands grew tired and lowered, the battle became heavy. Yet I placed Aaron and Hur beside him, men who neither stole his place nor stood aside criticizing his weakness. They placed a stone beneath him and held up his hands, one on each side, until the sun went down, as in Exodus 17:11-12. Do you see, my child? Some victories come not because one person is endlessly strong, but because faithful hearts stand where they are needed, lift at the right moment, and remain steadfast until the day is done. I will place such people beside you as well, not to obey in your place, but to help you keep holding on when you grow weary, not to walk your road for you, but to remind you that my grace is still sufficient. Yet you must learn discernment, for not every voice near you is a voice I have sent to guide you. Some words sound sweet, yet quietly draw your heart away from me. Some encouragement appears good outwardly, yet secretly feeds pride. Some doors open quickly, but pull you away from peace. I am sharpening your spiritual hearing, so you will no longer chase every opportunity simply because it shines brightly, nor fear missing out whenever I ask you to wait. My sheep hear my voice, I know them, and they follow me. As in John 7:27, the closer you remain to me, the more clearly you will recognize that my voice does not drive you through confusion, does not lead you through guilt, and does not pull you into places where you must lose your soul in order to gain outward success. My voice may correct you, but it always leads you toward life. It may humble you, but it never crushes the dignity I myself placed within you. I have seen you grow in places where no one else was watching. My beloved child, I saw the moments when you wanted to respond sharply, yet chose silence to preserve peace. I saw the times you were misunderstood, yet refused to let bitterness rule your heart. I saw the mornings when you rose with heaviness inside you, yet still chose to pray, still chose to believe, still chose to do what was right even when no one praised you for it. Your Father who sees in secret will reward you. As in Matthew 6:6, that promise is not only for prayers whispered in private rooms, but also for every hidden victory within your soul. Do not believe that growth unseen by others is meaningless growth. Roots do not require applause. Yet it is the roots that determine whether a tree will remain standing when the winds arrive. I have deepened your roots through hidden seasons, so that what I am preparing to reveal through you will not be shaken by praise or criticism. The time will come when I bring into the light what I have quietly built within you, not so you may exalt yourself, but so others may know that I am able to raise up a life without needing permission from those who once overlooked it. The words that once caused you to shrink back will no longer become cages for your soul. The old mistakes you repented of before me will no longer be allowed to sit upon the throne of judgment over your life. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? As in Isaiah 43:19. My new work is not merely an outward decoration, it is restoration from the roots upward. I am not only opening a way before you, but also renewing the way you walk upon that path, so that you no longer move forward carrying old shame, but with the dignity of one washed clean by mercy. Therefore, as you enter this new season, keep your heart tender without becoming weak, watchful without becoming fearful, humble without diminishing what I, myself, have placed within you. Do not return to the places I have already set you free from simply because they feel familiar. Do not allow the doubts of others to replace my calling within your heart. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. As in Proverbs 3:5-6, I will lead you toward the people who are meant to walk beside you, separate you from the things that no longer bring life, and open before you the right doors at the appointed time. You do not need to prove yourself through haste. You only need to remain near me. Listen for my voice, and obey me one step at a time. I have heard the cry of your heart, even the words you were too weary to speak aloud. I have seen your longing to draw nearer to me, seen the exhaustion hidden within the days when you struggled to remain standing, and seen even the small flame of hope you held on to while everything around you still seemed unclear. Today I speak this over you. You are not forgotten in darkness. You are being prepared within the hidden light of my presence. You are not being delayed without purpose. You are being strengthened for something lasting. You are not being lifted up by your own strength, but by my hand, the one who goes before you to open the way, beside you to comfort you, behind you to protect you, and within you to strengthen you. Continue walking forward, my beloved child, and when the season of revealing arrives, you will look back and understand that every quiet transformation, every timely connection, every season of waiting and faith were threads I used to weave together the testimony of your life. My beloved child, I have received your thanksgiving like a gentle fragrance rising before me, quiet yet sincere, humble yet full of life. You thought those long silent seasons were merely empty spaces between promises. But I want you to know that in those very days, I was shaping your heart with the patience of a loving father. Some things you once called delay were actually protection. Some doors you grieved because they closed were in truth fences I raised to keep you from walking paths not meant for you. All things work together for good to those who love God. As in Romans 8:8, that word is not only true in the days when joy surrounds you, it is equally true in the days when you do not understand why you must wait, why you must lose certain things, or why you must learn to stand firm in places where no one sees you. I was there, my child, in every sigh, every unfinished prayer, every morning when you rose with a heavy heart, yet still chose to believe that I had not left you. I have seen your small days, my beloved child, the days without applause, without remarkable results, without any grand sign that made you feel as though you were moving forward. Yet it was precisely those small days that built within you a greater heart. I use faithfulness in little things to prepare you for deeper and wider things. For the one who never learns to care for a single seed will struggle to steward an entire field when harvest season comes. Whoever is faithful in very little is also faithful in much. As in Luke 6:10, remember that before me. No act of obedience is insignificant when it is born out of love. Every time you chose peace instead of argument, humility instead of defending yourself when misunderstood, silence, not out of weakness, but because you refused to spread more hurt, I saw it all. I do not lose a single tear, forget a single hidden act of kindness, or overlook a single moment when you fought to keep your heart pure in situations that could have made you bitter. Remember Hannah, the woman who brought her deepest sorrow into the temple and poured out her soul before me in tears. Others looked at her and misunderstood, assuming she was drunk, but I knew what was trembling inside her heart. I heard the prayer that did not need performance, saw the longing laid down in faith, and in the appointed time I gave her Samuel as an answer born from tears. As told in 1 Samuel 1, do you see? My child, some quiet prayers do not disappear into the air. I gather them, preserve them, and in the right season, transform them into strength, into life, into something far beyond what you could ever produce for yourself. Never believe that silent prayers are weak prayers. Some prayers unheard by human ears shake heaven itself because they rise from a heart truly resting in me. I've also used the people who pass through your life to teach you love and unity. Some walk beside you only briefly, carrying a lesson, an awakening, plots, an example, or a reminder. Others remained longer, enduring beside you, praying beside you, growing beside you in truth. Some brought you joy, others brought pain. But if you place every encounter into my hands, I can turn each one into a thread woven into the garment of grace. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. As in Proverbs 27:17, I will not always send people who merely make you comfortable, but I will send those who help you become more genuine, more tender, deeper, and nearer to me. The community I weave around you is not meant to create a polished outward image, but to teach you patience, forgiveness, support, and faithfulness within imperfect relationships covered by grace. My beloved child, I do not require perfection before I love you. My love is not a reward reserved for souls that never stumble. My love is the living water that cleanses, lifts, and shapes you through every season. The scars you carry are not evidence that you have been rejected. In my hands, they become testimonies that you passed through fire without being consumed, that you wept without drowning, that you grew weary without being abandoned. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. As in Psalm Satan Eliakumentaseitsimen Kolome, I do not merely wipe away your tears. I turn those tears into rain that softens the fields of hope. The things that once wounded you will not have the final authority to define you. I can use the very places where you were weakest to give birth to compassion, and use the memories that once weighed heavily upon you to teach you how to gently lift others in ways no book could ever teach. Therefore, continue allowing your words to become shelter for weary souls. I have placed within your mouth words that can build instead of destroy, comfort instead of condemn, and open peace instead of prolonging conflict. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. As in Proverbs 25:11, when you speak with love, your words do not merely touch another person's ears. They reach the hidden places they have tried to conceal. Your hands may seem small, yet when moved by the Holy Spirit, they can carry a portion of the world's pain. A simple message asking how someone is doing, an hour spent listening, a gentle act of support, a quiet forgiveness. None of these things are small before me. They are the ways my light moves through your life and reaches places that have grown cold. I have seen you learn to love people more than being right. My beloved child, I have seen you choose peace instead of winning arguments. Choose to build up instead of using words to defend your pride. That is a precious kind of growth, not because you no longer feel pain, but because you refuse to let pain sit upon the throne of your heart. Not because you never had questions, but because even among unanswered questions, you still allowed faith to take root. The peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your heart and mind. As in Philippians 4:7, that peace does not come because everything has already been fully explained, but because you know I am still standing at every crossroads, smiling gently and saying to you, keep walking. I am here. I am in the door that opens at the right time, and I am also in the door that closes in the right season. I am in the promise unfolding like the dawn, and I am also in the dark night before the dawn appears. Now receive these words as my response to your gratitude. I have kept you. I am keeping you, and I will continue to keep you. The work I am doing in hidden places cannot be stolen by the doubts of others, by the delays of time, or by the days when you feel weak. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. As in Philippians 1:6, you do not walk by your own glory, but by the light I have placed upon you. Let every step you take tell the story of my goodness, that I turn weariness into refuge, scars into testimony, tears into rain for new growth, waiting into foundation, and an ordinary life into a joyful witness of the one who always keeps his promises. Live within that grace, my beloved child, and let your thanksgiving become more than words spoken by your lips. Let it become a fragrance flowing from every choice, every word, and every act of love throughout the new day I am placing before you.